Are now live on YouTube.
All right, everybody, good morning and welcome to the Earth Day edition of the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee. I'm Sean Scanlon, House Co-Chair, and we have 4 bills today on the agenda. But before we get to that, any remarks from Senator Fonfara?
None from me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any remarks from our distinguished ranking members?
Thank you, Chairman Scanlon. Yes, Senator Martin unfortunately cannot be here this morning, but he has asked that we ascertain what time votes will be kept open.
We will be keeping the votes open until the Senate gavels in. So
Is that
I never know what time that's really going to be as a House member, but whenever the Senate does gavel in is when the votes will be held open to.
So at least until 11, I presume?
At least until 11, yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it. Ready to rock and roll.
Okay. So first on our agenda today under Roman numeral 3, bills to review, is item number 1, SB 367. The motion would be JF to the floor. Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Senator Fonfara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Cheeseman. Discussion. Senator Fonfara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this bill, which seeks to ban access to flavored vaping products and also put a cap on the amount of nicotine in vaping products. I believe that the underlying objective is an important one, and in that it seeks to limit access to individuals that are less than 21 years of age having access to vaping products or flavored vaping products, which is from everything I've read, an attraction to not just underage individuals, but adults as well. And by banning flavored, it's believed by those who are who have advanced this bill to this point, that that will help to reduce the number of underage individuals from vaping and entering the tobacco world, if you will. And I support all of those things strongly. I have long been a strong advocate for smoking cessation, and I at times have aggravated friends and some folks who might have been friends if I had not been as adamant in hoping that they would end the habit of smoking cigarettes. But I believe that the effort to ban flavored for everyone will have, as often is the case with efforts that limit access to something that is desired, will have unintended consequences of creating sadly a robust underground market. And there's evidence of that in Massachusetts, and our neighboring state that has banned all vaping products. I believe the only state in the country that's done that so far. And they've seen a growing underground market. They're seeing decreases in revenue from the sale of vaping products. And they're seeing in other states the growth in neighboring states, the growth in revenue believed to be coming from folks from Massachusetts going over the border to purchase these products. And I can say from my own experience in my city, where, and in other places in the state, where some 6 or 7 years ago, the then Commissioner of the Department of Revenue Services came to us asking for more resources to enforce efforts to prohibit the underground market in the sale of cigarettes, a legal product. And that's happened because I've supported every effort in terms of increasing the tax on cigarettes. But nonetheless, a very vibrant underground market exists in that regard. And secondarily, I think that by limiting access, as I said, it's not only an underground market here, but individuals going over the line to access these products. And so we could feel good about voting for a ban, but the reality is that if people want these products, they're going to find them. Secondly, I think with respect to adults, there is evidence that, anecdotal and otherwise, that those who are trying to beat this scourge of a habit of cigarette smoking, that vaping does help to either beat the habit or to lessen the habit. But that's an individual choice. And I don't believe we should deny folks who see flavored vaping products as adults to have access to the very limited options to quit the cigarette habit. Something that is well documented is far more harmful health-wise than vaping is. So I've tried to think of a way to support the effort to eliminate access or reduce access in a meaningful way, not just one that we feel good that we did, but then not look at the facts, that the consequences that come from that, the unintended consequences, and enable us to continue to allow adults who choose to use vaping as an alternative to cigarette smoking, and have that still be available to them. So, Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment. I will offer this as a voice amendment for the sake of time, that would create a definition in section 1 that would establish a definition of an adult-only tobacco retail store is a retail establishment that possesses a license to sell electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products, and or other tobacco-related products, and limits entrance to the establishment to persons aged 21 or older. And in section 2, A, it would read, no person who is not a principal, proprietor, agent, or servant or employee of an adult-only tobacco retail store shall sell, give, deliver, or possess with intent to sell in this state any electronic, not just flavored, any electronic nicotine delivery system or vaping product. So in essence, no vaping product, flavored or unflavored, could be sold in any establishment in Connecticut other than in a adult-only retail store that limits entrance to the establishment, not just limits entrance to a room or whatever, but limits entrance to the establishment to persons age 21 or older. And we delete, for same reasons that adults should have a choice, we delete any reference to nicotine cap that is presented in the bill. And lastly, there would be a sunset of this provision to take place in June 30th of 2026, giving a essentially 2-year window to determine whether or not this approach does have the intended effect of limiting, substantially reducing access, which, by the way, this amendment would do that in general. You're going from thousands of access points currently in Connecticut, of convenience stores, of package stores, of grocery stores, that right now, many of them, if not all of them, sell cigarettes and vaping products. Those would be eliminated, and we'd be providing or allowing for access only to those that meet the definition that I read earlier. So this 2-year window would help us understand whether this approach is having the intended effect of limiting access to underage individuals, but maintaining access for adults over the age of 21. And if it is not, then certainly the legislature can take action. The legislature can take action next year if it wants to, or wait to see how the which I hope it would, how the 2-year time frame informs us as to whether this approach is having the intended effect or not. We certainly are seeing in other states that have banned flavored the growth of the underground market, and to the point where in Massachusetts, the multi-state enforcement entity, multi-agency enforcement entity is basically documented the growth in the underground market there, the loss of revenue to other states, indicating it's not about revenue. It is about the fact that people are going over the line to purchase these products. And so the evidence is there right next door to us. I believe the same, if this underlying bill were to pass, the same will happen in Connecticut. We'll feel good about what we passed, but the practical effect will not be what people intend. So I offer that amendment, Mr. Chairman, as an alternative to the underlying proposal.
Is there a second to?
I'd like
Senator
to second
Farr?
that amendment, Representative Chair Scanlon.
Second by Representative Cheeseman. Discussion on the amendment. Representative Cabras DeGraw, followed by Representative Chafee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the time to speak today. In addition to serving on this committee, I serve on the Public Health Committee, and this is now the second time that we have heard a bill such as this, but I also have a longer history with this topic. It goes back to 2018, when in my community, we were seeing how incredibly harmful this was to children, and especially seeing it as young as children in 6th grade. And so when we are having these conversations, that is always on my mind because of the number of parents that were seeking addiction treatment facilities for actual children. While I know that this bill is regarding, or this amendment, I'm sorry, is regarding 21 and over, those are the folks that are on my mind, because we know that just like alcohol, there is still an option for these items to get in the hands of children when they are accessible. Specifically around these flavors, you know, I'm hearing that, oh, it would be a loss of money to us. Well, that to me sounds like it could be a big tobacco talking point, and I'm honestly not interested in that. In addition, when we talk about the health consequences of this, you know, I know people who never smoked a cigarette in their life and then picked up a vape because it was mango flavored and they were an adult. And we are going to pay for those health outcomes that are a result of this because of the significantly large amount of nicotine that are found in those vape pods. So if I wasn't a no on the amendment for the reason of the fact that this will still get into the hands of people under 21, I am absolutely a no because of that nicotine cap. Additionally, you know, I think there are many options to quit smoking. You've got the patch, you've got gum, you have smoking cessation programs, there's hypnosis, and this does not ban tobacco flavored pods. So you would still have access to those smoking cessation methods. And we just talked significantly this week about how important it is to put money and education towards getting people to quit smoking. There are so many chemicals inside of these pods. That's another thing that we have to worry about. So I think that when we're thinking of all of that, you know, waiting to see what's going to happen over the course of 2 years. We've seen cities that have tried these loopholes, and they've had to go back. We've had New York legislators say to us, watch out for this one. We've got to be really careful. You know, I hear the arguments about the black market. I hear the arguments that are being made. And frankly, it's just not enough to sway me that this is the right idea. So at this time, I am a no on this amendment. I hope that others will be a no on this amendment, because the bottom line for me is we have to do everything we can to protect as many people as possible, and especially our youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Chafee, followed by Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have to excuse me. My son was ill today, so I'm currently have my hands full with a 10-month-old while I'm trying to do this. But I'm honestly torn on this bill. You know, I as someone who started smoking cigarettes at a young age, and I know you could relate with this, struggled with nicotine addiction for probably well over 10 years. Quitting cigarettes is one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I don't want to see any children getting addicted to nicotine, whether it's through combustible cigarettes or vaping. I think the intent of the bill is good. I just don't know that the flavors are actually the problem. And a question to the proponent of the amendment. So the amendment will remove the cap on the nicotine content. I believe the bill puts a cap at 35 milligrams per milliliter. Your amendment would remove that cap from the bill.
Through you, Senator Fonfara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Chafee, yes, it would remove the cap in that the objective of what I've heard read, the intent of the bill is to limit access to underage individuals. And my amendment supports that strongly by eliminating access or the sale of these products in thousands of locations, which right now is the issue, the unfettered access in thousands of corner convenience stores, gas stations, etc., supermarkets. This would shut that down and limit to comparatively very limited number of locations for adults that you have to show your ID or license that you are 21 to even enter the facility. That would go a long way, in my opinion, in limiting access. And everything I've read, it's about access. And again, I don't offer the reduction or the elimination of the nicotine cap language because I want someone to smoke or to vape and get further hooked on nicotine. But I do believe if you're an adult and you're making a conscious effort, whatever the percentage of people it is that are trying to beat this cigarette habit that I've heard from so many, yourself, Chairman Scanlon, and so many others in my life who struggle mightily to end the cigarette habit, that if there is a chance by using this alternative method, and that's my sole interest here, to help them do that, while also doing our best to deny or limit access to underage individuals who are attracted to flavored vaping, which is what I've understood is the major intent of this bill, then it's in that spirit that I offer the amendment and the removal of the nicotine cap.
Representative Chafee.
Sorry, I was juggling here. I do think that restricting the access is a very good point. For me, as you know, someone who knows people who quit cigarettes and moved to vaping, and some of them quit, some of them still vape. I have actually used vape products myself at one point. They are much stronger than cigarettes, and many people who transition find themselves even more addicted. So I don't know that I'll be able to support the amendment if it removes the cap, but I will listen to the debate, and I thank you for putting the amendment forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Cheeseman, followed by Representative Carney.
Thank you very much, Chairman Scanlon. And I welcome this amendment because I am, and much of the medical community are of the firm belief that for adults who use combustible cigarettes, e-cigarettes are by far the most effective way of quitting and staying off them. I'm looking at a New England Journal of Medicine trial and found that e-cigarettes were twice as effective as any other method, whether it was the nicotine patch, gum, any of those, in giving up smoking. And I do believe that from a public health point of view, allowing adults to have access to these is very important. I think Senator Fanfara's idea is an excellent one. We can look at this after 2 years. And to be frank, I voted in favor of this bill last year, largely in an attempt to persuade those who were so strongly in support of it to recognize what I viewed was hypocritical attitude when it looked toward the legalization of retail cannabis. Just as with alcohol, there is always the possibility of children getting access to these flavored vapes. One can say exactly the same thing once we legalize retail marijuana. And we know from the scientific evidence that was presented what a danger today's cannabis is to the developing mind. And to hear people on this committee rage against vapes and yet vote in lockstep for a product that we know damages young minds, I find incredibly distressing, incredibly distressing. So I will be in strong support of this amendment today. I believe vapes, flavored or not, serve a true public health purpose. I believe 2 years will give us time. If 2 years didn't persuade people that retail marijuana was a bad idea, despite the evidence from other states, I don't know where to go with this. So I want to thank Senator Fanfara for his amendment, and I will be in strong support. Thank you, Chair Scanlon.
Thank you. Representative Carney, followed by Representative Farrar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I do certainly appreciate Senator Fanfara's amendment. I'm not sure how I'm going to vote. It does make, in my view, an atrocious bill better. Certainly my concerns are similar to his. There is no question that folks do go to New Hampshire from Massachusetts. There is no question that there is a black market in Massachusetts. All of these things are facts. They're not opinions. They're not big tobacco talking points. If big tobacco was so strong, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It is really a matter of choice and a matter of what is better for an individual and about freedom. But there was a Yale doctor who did testify that these are better than cigarettes. And I think that alone should make everybody say, okay, well, these aren't, we should not be banning something that is better than the product in a lot of cases that people are trying to stop. And it is because, I find it strange that, a mint flavored, as far as I know, would be banned, a mint flavored vape, yet menthol cigarettes would still be legal. I think clove cigarettes are still legal. And I never smoked, rarely smoked as in my whole life. And I think a lot of that was because of education. I think our country and our state have done a good job with that. I don't think this is the answer at all. And a greater concern of mine is, I've heard big tobacco. I think, when we look at products we ban or products, we're talking only about vaping and talking about, well, what about the children? I mean, there's whipped cream flavored vodka. There's a White Claw that's 8.5%. We have bent over backwards so that microbrews can sell 12% beers. I mean, the amount of harm alcohol has done over the last 2 years in particular, but over, to a lot of lives. And a lot of people start drinking at young ages, and a lot of people at a young age are attracted to flavored alcohol and higher percentage alcohol products, and bad things can happen. People die, and yet we focus on this one segment, and a lot of people, and if anybody saw the WTNH special on it, I mean, you had people that don't have a voice in Hartford or
Representative Carney, you're breaking up.
We're sitting here going, acting like
Representative Carney, we cannot hear you.
Than that. How dare anybody want to have a flip?
Thank you for muting him, whoever did that. Oh. Bree, can we definitively mute him? Representative Carney, if you can hear us, you were losing your reception and we could not hear you except the remix of you. So if you get to a better place, let us know, but we were losing you for about 30 seconds there. Are you back? Your camera still looks jumpy. So Representative Carney, if you can get to a better place, we'll come back to you. With that, Representative Farrar.
Are we good, Chairman?
Yeah, we can just mute Devin and then come back to him.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Fanfara, I have a question for you, just so I make sure I kind of understand the amendment as it's put forward. Can you repeat what is in the amendment in regards to the adults only establishments and how that would work? Chairman Fanfara, I think you're on mute if you're trying to respond.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Okay.
Like my co-chairman, we're both new at this. The language in the new section 10, I'm sorry, Roman numeral 10 in section 1 under definitions, it would read, an adult-only tobacco retail store is a retail establishment that possesses a license to sell electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products or other or other tobacco-related products, and limits entrance to the establishment, not to a room, to the establishment, to persons aged 21 or older.
Okay, thank you. And are there, it'd just be helpful to know, in your knowledge, are there other states or localities where these types of establishments exist already?
What type of establishments are you?
The adult, this concept, this carve out for the adult only.
Well, there are smoke shops now, tobacco, cigar shops, those kinds of facilities. Vaping stores currently, and I guess you could say package stores, while they don't limit access, this would say we're limiting. It goes even further. But for a package store, I don't know if they card everybody, but I guess if you look like you're under 21, they will say they will card you. But you would have to have a license to sell this product. First of all, it isn't just, oh, we'll card somebody. And as I mentioned a few times, it would not allow for a room that is established. So in other words, anyone of any age could come in, but there's a side room that we only allow entrance to persons at 21 of age or older, that would not be allowed either.
Thank you. So just to clarify, I appreciated that detail of how it would work in our state, but are you familiar if there's any other states that have pursued this type of approach of having vaping products only available in adult kind of 21 plus locations?
No, Representative Farrar, that's not my motivation here as to whether, I don't generally think that way. As you know, it can be informative, but somebody has to be first, right? I mean, we seem to get comfort, and this is not aimed at you and individually at all. I'm just saying that in my experience as a legislator, we often hear, oh, California did this or that state did that, and then we somehow have comfort. But or if a state, no state has done it, that therefore somehow it doesn't have merit. I think a good idea, and I'll let others be a judge as to whether they think this is a good idea. This vote will certainly say in terms of our committee whether people think it's a good idea. For me, as I've mentioned, I didn't think about it in terms of who's done this before. I think about it for us in Connecticut and my own experience with banning products and what it results in an underground market that is developed. And I do believe that that will happen here, no question. And trying to find a way that addresses the issue of allowing adults to have access to a product that may help them in their own view, does help them to beat a horrible habit, to probably one of the most difficult habits that I say this somewhat reluctantly, but I have a terrible sugar habit. I can't beat it. It's part of my DNA. And I only think about a cigarette smoker, of which I've never been, how difficult that must be. I've seen friends I've pleaded with, begged, harangued to the point of obnoxiousness at times, I'm certain, to try to beat the habit. Even people now that I don't know that well on staff that I urge to quit smoking. This for me is a more practical attempt of looking at reality, not just we pass legislation, as you know, all the time, and then we move on to the next issue, the issue du jour of the year, of the month, and I'd like to see us succeed at limiting and severely reducing, but not completely eliminating, children who vape. I see them. I see kids doing it. But I also feel quite strongly about providing a tool to adults and recognizing that a black market, an underground market, will flourish if we pass the underlying bill. I have no question, I have no doubt about it.
So Chairman von Farrar, I simply asked that question because, again, with this idea that you brought forward, I think it's helpful for us to know if there were other locations that did it, mainly just because if we're looking at implementing this, they certainly could have learned, as you said, a little bit about if this approach would have worked, right? If it did reduce that youth use. And so I appreciate your comments, but that was the heart of why I was asking that question. And I appreciate the thoughtfulness about, how can we be practical in this? But honestly, personally, with having a father who has smoked his entire life, I love my father deeply, but have seen, the real effects of addiction and health consequences of smoking. And I know we're offering this adult option as is portrayed with this amendment. But I not only think of my father in particular, especially with the removal of the cap of the nicotine content with these products, but particularly of so many students that I've heard from actually just in the past few months of how rampant the uptake of vaping is amongst their peers, how rampant it remains in school, out of school, and just how deeply concerned they are for their fellow peers. And I see that this is certainly a complicated issue in our approach, but at the heart of it, to me, it's not about the lost revenue, and it's really about, how can we ensure, especially our youth, are prevented from, all of the industry options that are out there that are really compelling to them to take up this addiction in their lives. So with that, unfortunately, I will have to vote no on this amendment today. And Chairman, I'm not sure if it was requested previously or in regards to process, but I would request that there's a roll call for this amendment.
That request will certainly be granted, Representative Farrar. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just one last point to Representative Farrar. If there is any misunderstanding or understanding or thought that my amendment is seeking to address revenue, that's not even a thought in my mind. It's just an indication that people are, by seeing New Hampshire and Rhode Island revenues increase for the purchase of vaping products, is an indication that the banning of the product in Massachusetts is not ending the desire and the effort of individuals to purchase the product, if it means doing so in the underground market or it means going across the border to purchase it. Those things continue to happen, and it's right in our own backyard. It's not California, it's not Colorado, it's right here in our backyard that it's happening.
Representative Paletto, followed by Senator Formica.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to speak. I'll be very brief. This week we put a $4 million from the Tobacco Trust Fund towards prevention. And I think the good Senate Chair mentioned that if you know anyone who is addicted to smoking, you always try to plead with them. I don't smoke, but many of my friends do. And I'm always kind of nudging them saying, hey, you don't realize what you're doing to your health. It's terrible. Try to quit or try to stop. And one of the reasons why I think we put money in the prevention fund is to try to wean people away from the traditional cigarette. So by saying that we're going to ban these flavors, I think it's kind of counterintuitive, because now you're saying, okay, well, we're going to put money to try to help people, but the product that helps people, we're going to ban. I don't really understand that logic. If someone can explain that would be great. But I think that if we're trying to truly help people, and the studies show that the product helps people get away from the traditional cigarette, then I don't think, I think it's counterintuitive as to what we're doing. Secondly, I think Senator Fonfara mentioned about Massachusetts. They banned flavored tobacco products and they passed nicotine restrictions. I think it was a couple of years ago. And that just opened up the black market. And actually, we talked about this a couple of years ago. We talked about legalization of marijuana, that people were going over the border and they were buying it. They were bringing it here. We had the same discussion in this committee when they tried to tax ammunition. People were going to go over the border, buy it cheaper, bring it here. Again, I think we're double talking. We're not doing what we're supposed to be doing here. We've seen that it doesn't work. So I'll just leave it at that. Those are some brief comments. I don't know if one of the chairs would like to talk to what happened over in Massachusetts, or the fact that we just put money in prevention and then we're going to say, okay, well, we don't want to use the products that help prevention. And I think the good chair from the Senate agrees with me that we have to really look at the studies and really look at how to get people away from cigarettes. And by banning these products, I don't think it gets us there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Formica, followed by Representative Nuccio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. I am in favor of the good senator's amendment. It should be an adult choice unless we're going to outlaw cigarettes, which I think would be my first preference. I too smoked and had my first taste of alcohol at the age of 13, and the next 15 years didn't end up so well. but I was able to quit smoking and drinking too. But it was a very difficult thing to do. I think the nicotine cap, while perhaps controversial, is a way for people to throttle down their nicotine use on their own as they try to work through their own personal addiction. And that's, in my view, an adult choice. So I would be supportive of this amendment, although I'm not sure I'm supportive of the bill unless this is a strike-all. I didn't quite hear whether it was or not. And the other question I have for the good senator is, are we banning the sale of cigarettes in all of the locations that sell vaping, those convenience stores and whatever, and moving cigarette sales to a 21 and over as well, or just moving the vaping products away from those convenience stores and converted gas stations, et cetera? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. This is vaping only, does not affect or impact cigarettes sales.
Thank you very much for that clarification, sir. Thank you.
Representative Nuccio, followed by Representative Mashinsky.
Sorry, sir, I was not able to get my phone off of mute. So I wasn't really planning on speaking because I'm all over the place right now, but I have to express some frustration. We just met the other day, and I expressed very clearly my disappointment with the fact that Connecticut gets over $130 million a year from a tobacco settlement, and we're going to put a measly $4 million towards cessation instead of the recommended $32 million that the CDC requires. And here we are talking about a bill banning flavor cartridges for vapes, but yet not spending anything to actually deal with the issue at hand. And while I agree smoking is terrible, people in my family have smoked. My husband smoked when he was younger, gave it up. It's an absolutely horrible habit. It's hard to break. It's an addiction, but it's a legal product. And as much as I don't like it, I really don't like marijuana either. And we just made that legal on top of cigarettes. And we have alcohol, which is legal. And we're trying to ban a legal substance, which I guess I have a hard time with. We cannot like what somebody does, but how we ban a legal substance as a legislature here is kind of astounding to me when cigarettes are still available. And I guess my question for the proponent of the amendment, just to clarify for me, because I think at least the amendment wouldn't be banning the sale of a legal product, but for the proponent of the amendment, would this also take cigarettes and put them into an establishment where you had to be 21 years or older to purchase it, considering cigarettes are just as bad, if not worse, obviously worse than vaping products?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Through Mr. Chairman.
Through you, sorry.
It would not prohibit an adult-only tobacco retail store from selling cigarettes, but you'd have to only allow entrance to the establishment to persons of age 21 or older. It would not prohibit the sale of cigarettes in any other establishment.
It does not. So we're still going to sell cigarettes openly and freely, but we're just going to ban vaping products or just have vaping products in establishments that are 21 and over. I'm assuming alongside the marijuana that the cannabis that's now legal for 21 and over, and alcohol, correct? But not cigarettes. So I guess I'm a little confounded with that. I'm probably in favor of the amendment because I think an outright ban is not gonna, it's as you've seen in Massachusetts and other places, it's not gonna work. This is a legal product throughout the United States. You can receive it in the mail. You can walk across a border and get it. And I just don't understand. I believe another representative was talking to me and showed that the combustibles don't even help when it comes to quitting smoking. Like if you make the vape products not available, people go back to regular smoking combustibles because they don't have that product available now. So I guess I just find it pretty hypocritical of us that, and one day we're talking about, you know, taking 4 million of $130 million that is literally there to combat the problem that we are now talking about doing. And we're going to put minimum dollars towards it and then ban a legal substance to put it someplace else. I guess this is just kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm too new, but this is just kind of asinine to me. But I'm in favor of the amendment because the amendment doesn't ban it outright, I believe. And I think that's the way I'm hearing it. So I just wanted to express my frustration on that. Thank you very much.
Representative Mashinsky.
Mr. Chairman, I strongly support the underlying bill, and it is consistent with my vote against marijuana legalization. I serve on a Coalition for a Better Wallingford board where we are trying to protect young people of Wallingford. Mr. Chairman, you've been to our meetings and you visited us once. The statistics are telling the story. We had gotten down to almost zero tobacco addiction in the two high schools in Wallingford. We were almost down to zero. It's now, I don't have the sheet in front of me, but it's about 1 out of 4 high school students is now using the vaping. And the attraction to them is, quite frankly, the flavors. So we went from almost zero to 1 out of 4, 20, 25, 27% among high school kids. It's only in the past 4 years or so that this has happened. It is clearly from the flavors. We also have in middle school now, 1 out of 20 middle school kids is vaping. I think these trends are really frightening. We almost got to the point where we had no new victims of tobacco addiction. We had almost eliminated it. And now with the new flavors, it's a recruiting tool for kids to use it. They'll just get some friend of theirs that's over 21 to buy it for them, that's all. But the attraction is there. And the statistics don't lie. We now have a whole new crop of people addicted to tobacco that we didn't have just a few years ago. So for that reason, and I am going to be consistent here to protect young people, I've got to oppose the amendment, support the bill. And so if Connecticut's an island for a while, that's okay with me. I hope this catches on with our neighbor states, and I hope the flavors disappear. And then kids will see that tobacco actually doesn't taste very good. And hopefully we'll get back down to where we were 5 years ago when we had almost eliminated it from the high schools. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Kavros DeGraw for the second time.
I just wanted to, thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to circle back on the point that I keep hearing about the black market. You know, there have been studies done about this, and honestly, that is an overstated argument. There have been multiple studies in which it's been able to be proven that they only look at, you know, small areas, you know, that they've studied where it's like, oh, well, that supposedly the black market's happening there, when in reality, it just isn't. But it's a really useful talking point in terms of scaring people and making them concerned that that's the biggest thing that's going to happen. You know, in terms of these, we haven't seen in, you know, 21 only situation any states. And I am always the first person to say, why do we have to be last? Why do we have to only do steady habits? But on this one, when it comes to a public health issue, I think we have to be a little bit more cautious. And I think that that's what I've heard in terms of from my friends who are still upset about, you know, the legalization of marijuana, that this is a safety issue. And so that is a concern for me. I also want to circle back to that nicotine cap, because I think the reality is that lowering that cap, you know, that does, taking the cap away, you know, that is not going to help people quit smoking. So I think that, you know, if you're going to end up having more nicotine than a regular cigarette in a vaping device, how does that help you quit? That just, to me, that's common sense. I don't see how that math works. You know, when I started looking at this issue in 2018, and when we had children literally selling to each other on school buses, and then we had sinks getting broken in bathrooms because the kids were hiding their pods and their vape pens in the drop ceiling, underneath the trays, and they were standing on the sinks and busting the sinks off the wall. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't understand, because as the good representative who just spoke said, we had gotten those numbers down so significantly. So I think that when we're talking about this, we have to remember that, making nicotine, I think that's the biggest problem I have with the amendment, is that there's going to, and that cap is critical. It's absolutely critical. And I just think that the black market argument is absolutely spurious. So again, I would urge my colleagues to vote no on this amendment. Thank you.
Committee will stand at ease for a moment. Committee will come back to order. Any other discussion on the amendment? Well, I would just say, for me, I was no secret to this committee that I have pretty strong feelings about this. I shared several days ago that I am somebody who unfortunately started smoking when I was very young, and I smoked for 15 years. And that included continuing to smoke after my own father died of lung cancer, which was a very, very painful thing to personally watch. And if anybody's experienced that, it's horrible. And for me, I wish I could go back in time and tell my 15-year-old self that this was not the right thing to do, but I can't do that. And I have no idea whether the 15 years that I smoked will find me in the same fate that my father ended up in, or his father before him, who died at 45 of a heart attack, having been a multi-pack per day smoker. So for me, just listening to this discussion, I have come to the clear position that smoking is not good for you. I've also come to the position that vaping is not good for you either. And just because vaping may be less bad for you than cigarettes does not make that good. But there are people who do use vaping to quit smoking, and I do appreciate that. And I do understand that. So regardless of what happens with this amendment today or this bill, these products will still be available to some people. And I think it's important for all of us to try to work hard. If I hear everybody correctly, when they say they want to try to eradicate nicotine use, whether it's vaping or real cigarettes, then we have to commit ourselves to that. We had that discussion the other day, as Representative Nuccio talked about, in which we talked about how we all wish that we were putting more money towards tobacco cessation, towards eradicating this very, very bad thing from our society. And I hope that we do that. I came into this meeting not really knowing how I would vote on this amendment, because I generally see both sides of this. And I truly am torn as a person. And I'm being very candid about that right now, because that's all I feel I can be. I think Senator Fonfara's intentions are really great and they're in the right place. And I think he is trying to find a way to thread the needle between doing what he said, getting rid of a product that he personally thinks is very bad, but keeping a mechanism intact for people that may not have the willpower or the ability to do what I did, which was to quit cold turkey on March 20th, 5 years ago this year. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it was the thing I knew that I had to do. And not everybody can do that. And I respect that. And I appreciate that. So I am going to, with all due respect to my co-chair, Senator Fonfara, vote no on this amendment. But I do believe that if this amendment passes, that this will be a good step if we have to take it. And I will vote yes on the bill. And I believe that that yes vote will be something that I will not be afraid to do, because I believe that that yes vote will make a difference. And that's what Senator Fonfara is trying to do. But personally, I voted yes on this bill in public health, and I feel like I would prefer to do that. But if Senator Fonfara's amendment passes, I will vote yes on this bill, because I believe that we have to do something. And that is where I come down on this. But I urge all members to vote in favor of what their position is on this bill. And just know that my position should not influence your position. You should vote your conscience on this. And with that, the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a roll call vote on Amendment A to Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. This amendment creates a definition in Section 1 of an adult-only retail store to limit entrance into the establishment to people aged 21 and older. It prohibits any person from selling flavored or unflavored ends or vapor products unless they are an adult-only retail store. It strikes reference to the 35 milligrams per milliliter nicotine cap throughout the bill and sunsets these provisions on June 30th, 2026. Fonfara.
Yes.
Thank you. Scanlon.
No.
Thank you. Martin. Cheeseman.
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Thank you. Miller.
Can you call me in the end? I have to pull over.
Absolutely. Thank you. Moore.
Votes no.
Thank you. Cavros DeGraw.
No. More votes no.
Thank you, Senator Moore. Cavros DeGraw.
Cavros DeGraw votes no.
Thank you. Meskers. Barry.
Sorry. Meskers votes no.
Thank you. Barry. Borer.
Representative Borer votes no.
Thank you. Butler. Cabrera. Carney. Cassano. Chafee. Cohen. Concepcion. Devlin.
Representative Devlin votes yes.
One more time for me, please, Representative. I'm so sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Doucette. Elliott.
Elliott votes yes.
Thank you. Farrar,
Farrar votes no.
thank you. Fazio,
Fazio votes yes.
thank you. Formica, Hall, Hampton,
Voting on the First Amendment, the first ballot.
Hennessy, Huang,
Senator Huang votes yes.
thank you.
We're all voting yes.
Everyone could please remain on mute until it is your time to vote. I would be very grateful. Claritas Detria,
Claritas Detria votes yes.
thank you. Lamar,
Representative Lamar votes yes.
thank you. Maroney, Mastro Francesco, Mashinsky,
Mashinsky votes no.
thank you. Needleman, Nuccio,
Oh, sorry, Bree, hold on. Representative Nuccio votes yes.
thank you. Paolillo,
Representative Paolillo votes no.
thank you. Perillo,
Perillo votes no.
thank you. Perone, Piscopo,
Piscopo votes no.
thank you. Paletta,
Paletta votes yes.
oh, I see you now. Okay, we're
Paletta
good.
votes yes.
Thank you. Sanchez,
Oh.
Sanchez, Santiago, Flap,
Senator Slapp votes no.
thank you. Staffstrom, Williams,
Williams, yes.
thank you. Witkos,
Senator Witkos votes yes.
one more time for me, please, Senator.
Yeah, Senator Witkos votes yes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Bree, I'm sorry, may I change my vote to no? I apologize.
I have you as a no, Representative Williams. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree.
I'm back on when you can.
I'm going to go through the rest of the roll call, and then anyone who has not cast their vote will have the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Carrie Wood,
Wood votes yes.
thank you. Terry Wood, Yacarino, Ziogas, Zulo, Zupkis,
Zupkis votes yes.
thank you. Are there any legislators who would like to cast their vote who have not already done so?
I would, Bree.
Senator Formica, how would you like to vote?
Thank you, Bree. I'd like to vote yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Bree, it's Representative Concepcion.
Hi,
I vote yes.
thank you.
Bree, it's Pat Miller.
Hi,
Hi, I vote no.
thank you. Are there any other members who would like to cast their vote?
Yeah, Bree, if you could just hold on just 1 second. Senator Martin's coming over to use my computer.
Sure thing.
Representative Chafee would like to vote yes.
Oh, thank you.
I, Senator Martin, would like to vote yes.
Thank you, Senator. Any other members?
Bree,
Yes. Representative Santiago? How would you like to cast your vote? Representative Santiago, how would you like to cast your vote? Hilda? Are there any other members who would like to cast their vote? One more time, Representative Santiago, could you please vote for me?
Can you hear me?
I
Go
can
ahead,
hear-
Hilda, we can hear you.
Please vote, I can hear you.
Representative Santiago, we could hear you a moment ago, and if you're on camera, you have to vote. We have to close the vote.
You're now on mute. If you could unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
I vote no. I vote no.
I've got you down. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Clerk will take tally.
Mr. Chairman, the tally is 17 yay, 14 nay, 20 absent and not voting. The amendment passes.
Thank you, Bree. Okay, back to the underlying bill. Is there any discussion? I would just remind colleagues, we have 3 bills to go and a hard deadline coming up pretty soon. So I will say again, is there any discussion? I would just say again to our members that I do believe the intentions of the amendment are good. And I do believe that by passing this bill, we will make very important progress towards taking these very dangerous products out of the hands of people. So I will be voting yes on the underlying bill and would urge my colleagues to do so as well. Representative Mastro-Francesco, followed by Representative Calvaros-DeGraw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to save my comments for the underlying bill. The issue I have with this whole bill in general is, listen, we can't solve the world's problems. You know, people have to be kind of held accountable to themselves. And I don't really believe that this is the proper role of government. There's so many issues out there. There's foods that are bad for people that cause diabetes. Should we start banning foods? Drinking can cause, liver disease. Should we start banning drinking? I understand what you're trying to do and is try to help people, but at some point people have to be accountable to themselves. And if somebody wants to vape, that is their right to do that. Now, I think the best way to approach this is with education. And I think if you look at smoking from years ago to today, and I think, but they have done a really good job with education to show the effects of what smoking can do and so forth. That is the proper role of government. The proper role is not to ban something that it is not our job to determine what is best for people when it comes to their own personal choices like that. We have bigger problems in this state. Just recently, I saw, we have a lot of drug overdose, right? Drug abuse is rampant in this state and it's all over the country. Those are big problems. But yet we have just recently, the Department of Public Health posted on Facebook a graphic talking about crack and cocaine and the warning of it. Fine, you're educating people. But what's really concerning, and if I can for a second, just read what the comments were under that post. and it said crack and cocaine in Connecticut have been found to be mixed with other drugs, which can cause an overdose. If you are using street drugs, try to be as safe as possible, use slowly, never use alone, make sure Noxon is available, and call 911 in an emergency. So we have the Department of Public Health telling people that if you are doing drugs, it's okay, but make sure you use it safely. Make sure that you are with someone. So we have bigger problems that we should be addressing as opposed to banning e-flavored cigarettes. If a child or somebody under the age of 21 wants to get their hands on that flavored cigarette, they are going to do so. If their parents are buying them and the parents bring it home and they leave it on the counter, the child, somebody under 21 is going to get their hands on it anyway. The other concern I have is there's plenty of businesses in the state of Connecticut that sell these products, that it will be a serious loss of revenue for them. So I am opposed to this 100%. Again, I think we have bigger problems. We should be looking at the drug abuse in this state. And if we're going to start banning flavored e-cigarettes, we should just ban everything. Look at the fatty foods people are eating that you can go to these fast food stores, places to purchase that are not healthy for you. Do we start banning those as well? I understand the concern of people on this committee, but it is not, excuse me, in my opinion, the proper role of government for elected officials to be determining what's best for somebody and what is not. So, Mr. Chairman, obviously I'll be a no on this bill, and I appreciate your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any further discussion on this bill? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a roll call vote on Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products as amended by Amendment A. Fonfara.
Yes. Fonfara votes yes.
Thank you. Scanlon.
Scanlon votes yes.
One more time for me, please, Mr. Chairman.
Scanlon votes yes.
Thank you. Senator Martin.
Martin votes no.
One more time for me, please. Oh, now I see your face.
Martin votes no.
Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone to get very close to the microphone of their device so that your face shows up on the screen when you're voting. And I would also like to request that everyone else remain on mute until you are ready to vote. Cheeseman.
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Miller.
Miller votes yes.
Thank you. Moore. Cavros DeGraw.
I am a no for now because I haven't seen the actual amendment that's now attached for this. Thank you.
Okay. I can come back to you at the end of the vote as well, if you'd like. Meskers.
Meskers votes yes.
Thank you. Barry. Borer.
Borer votes yes.
Thank you. Butler. Cabrera. Carney. Casano. Chafee.
Chafee votes yes.
Thank you. Cohen. Concepcion.
Representative Concepcion votes yes.
Thank you. Devlin. Doucette.
Hi, good morning, Bree. I'm just logging in. I apologize. What bill is this?
We're voting on the first bill. This is Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products as amended by Amendment A.
Okay, Rep. Doucette votes yes.
Thank you. Elliott.
Elliott votes yes.
One more time for me, please.
No problem. Elliott votes yes.
Thank you. Farrar.
Farrar votes yes.
Thank you.
No.
Senator Fazio, could you please cast your vote one more time?
Fazio votes no.
Thank you. Formica,
Bree, Formica votes no.
thank you. Hall. Hampton. Hennessy. Huang.
Senator Huang votes yes.
Claridis Detria. Lamar.
Lamar votes yes.
Thank you. Maroney. Mastro Francesco.
Representative Mastro Francesco votes no.
Thank you. Mashinsky.
Brett Mashinsky votes yes.
Thank you. Needleman. Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes no.
Thank you. Paolillo.
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
Thank you. Perillo.
Representative Perillo votes yes.
One more time for me, please, Representative.
Perillo votes yes.
Thank you. Peron. Piscopo.
Representative Piscopo votes no.
Thank you. Paletta.
Paletta votes no.
Thank you. Sanchez. Santiago.
Santiago votes yes.
Thank you. Slap.
Slab votes yes.
I heard you, but I didn't see you. Now I see you. One more time for me.
Senator Slab votes yes.
Thank you. Staffstrom. Williams.
Williams with a reluctant yes.
Thank you. Witkos.
Senator Wickos votes no.
Thank you.
No.
I got you. Thank you. Wood, Carey. Wood, Terry. Yacarino.
I can't get on my computer on my phone. What bill was this number? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Item 1 under section 3, Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products as amended by Amendment A.
I got to come back. I have to see the amendment. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. I just had a meeting in town.
Understood. Ziogas. Zulo. Zupkis.
Zupkis votes no.
Thank you. Are there any members who would like to vote now?
Senator Moore votes yes.
Thank you, Senator. Any other members who'd like to vote on the bill as amended? Thank you.
All right, as a reminder to the committee, we will keep votes open until the start of the Senate session, which we anticipate to be at about 11. But to the extent that people can stay here for the next 3 bills, I would appreciate that, or as we try to get this work done before the Senate starts. So moving on to number 2, HB number 5255. The motion is JF to the floor. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Senator Fonfara.
Second.
Second by, I didn't see that. I think it's Representative Lamar. Is there any discussion on this bill? Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you. And I've seen the bill. I understand from our ranking member, but there are still elements that are a work in progress. But there are 3 particular areas that concern me, and I would have to be a no today. One is with regard to the possession of open alcohol by passengers on highways. If we have made it legal for people to have joints in cars. I see no reason to prevent them from having beer. Secondly, the eminent domain for bike paths and right of way. We have some very narrow roads, particularly in our more rural areas, and I would be concerned over those being further restricted by eminent domain. And finally, the fines for encroachment going from $100 to between $2,000 and $5,000 seems to me particularly egregious. I mean, the argument is they've been $100 since the carriage day, horse and buggy days, maybe, but that seems to me to be an incredibly large increase. So for those reasons, I would, again, welcome some explanation, but I would have to be a no today if those elements still remain in the bill. Thank you very much, Chair Scanlon.
Thank you, Representative, the distinguished chair of the Transportation Committee, Representative Lamar.
Thank you, Chairman Scanlon, and thank you to Ranking Member Cheeseman for raising those concerns. This bill represents what four caucuses come together in over the purpose of passing a comprehensive transportation package at the end of the year. This is one of those bills that when we do it right, passes in about 20 minutes on the House floor. And the anticipation for this bill is the same this year. This is not one of those bills that will be one that traditionally that generates a lot of talking. So if there are concerns and you share them with your ranking member, he's already brought them up to me. Those get addressed before this ever hits the House floor. This is the product that we work on very closely together in a bipartisan way all the way through passage. And for example, the backseat drinking component we've already agreed will be stripped from this bill and run separately on a completely different bill with the goal of having this bill as our joint FAR caucus approved bill before passage. So I commit to working with you and our ranking member to get over that final hurdle. And you have my commitment on that. So thank you to everyone.
Representative Zebkis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, I appreciate what Representative Lamar just said, so I'll be voting no to flag it in hopes that that will definitely happen. Although I believe I just heard him say for the back seat, but what my concern is also the passenger. To Representative Cheeseman's point, you can smoke a joint in the passenger seat, but you can't drink a beer. And that is totally absurd to me. So I'm hoping that that will be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Seeing no further discussion, clerk call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a roll call vote on, House Bill 5255, an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation, JF to the floor. Bonferra.
Bonferra votes yes.
Thank you. Scanlon.
Scanlon votes yes. Scanlon votes yes.
Thank you. Martin.
Martin votes no.
Thank you. Cheeseman.
Cheeseman votes no to flag this, but looks forward to working with Chairman Lamar to make this palatable. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you. Miller.
Miller votes yes.
Thank you. Moore.
Okay, great. Moore votes yes.
Thank you. Cavaros DeGraw. Meskers. Barry.
Meskers votes yes. You got that.
Thank you. I did, Representative. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Barry. Borer.
Borer votes yes.
Thank you. Butler. Cabrera. Carney.
Bree, what bill is this?
We're on House Bill 5255, an act
Thank
concerning
you.
recommendations by the Department of Transportation. You're welcome.
Carney votes no.
Thank you. Casano. Chafee.
He votes yes.
Thank you. Cohen. Concepcion.
Representative Concepcion votes yes.
Thank you. Devlin.
Hi, Bree. I voted yes in committee. I'm voting no today to flag this, and I appreciate the good chair's comments. I look forward to the changes to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Doucette,
Doucette votes yes.
thank you. Elliott,
Elliott votes yes. Elliott votes yes.
thank you. Farrar,
Farrar votes yes.
one more time.
Farrar votes yes.
Thank you. Fazio,
Fazio votes no.
thank you. Formica,
Formica votes no.
thank you. Hall, Hampton, Hennessy, Huang, Claritas Detria, Lamar,
Lamar votes yes.
thank you. Maroney, Mastro Francesco,
Mastro Francesco votes no.
thank you. Mashinsky,
Mashinsky votes yes.
thank you. Needleman, Nuccio,
Representative Nuccio votes no.
thank you. Paolillo,
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
thank you. Perillo, Perone, Piscopo,
Representative Piscopo votes no.
thank you. Paletta,
Paletta votes no.
one more time for me.
Paletta votes no.
Thank you. Sanchez, Santiago,
Santiago votes yes.
thank you. Slap,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
thank you. Daffstrom, Williams,
Williams, yes.
thank you. Wickhouse,
Senator Wickos votes no.
thank you. Wood, Carrie. Wood, Terry. Yacarino,
Rep. Yacarino votes no. Bree, could I, in 367, could I cast my vote as a no also?
yes.
Thank you. I can barely hear you. I don't know, something, technical problems all morning.
Thank you. Ziogas, Zulo, Zupkis,
Zupkis votes no.
thank you. Are there any members who have not yet cast their vote on House Bill 5255, an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation?
I'd like to cast my vote. Cameron
Sure thing.
Cabral votes yes.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, moving on to number 3, HB 5296. The motion is JF to the floor. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Senator Fanfara. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Representative Mashinsky. Representative Borer.
Thank you, Chairman Scanlon. I just want to mention to everybody that when we voted for the bond bill last week or 2 weeks ago, the funding was in that bond bill. So we already pretty much voted for the program. This is really just the language that goes behind it and, goes towards the goal of Connecticut to have 21% of open space. So if you voted for the bond bill, you technically already voted for this. This is just really to put the language behind it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Mastro Francesco, followed by Representative Piscopo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple quick questions so I can understand it. Normally, when there is a grant for open space, the bond commission votes on it do they vote on it as needed, as those grants are available, as they feel that open space grants need to be available? Is that a standard process through you, Mr. Chairman?
Representative Boer or Senator Moore would appreciate you perhaps answering that question.
Sure, I could jump in if you want. So the bond bill funds the program, and then DEEP twice a year opens the grant application. So it's usually the funding goes out to the municipalities or the land trust through that grant program twice a year. It doesn't typically go on the bonding commission agenda.
So thank you for that. So if there needs to be, if the bond commission wants to have a grant for open space, they would just take it up with the recommendation of DEEP. Is that correct?
Are you asking if the bond commission, let's say, do you have an example, like a community wants to purchase open space, they would go to the bond commission agenda? Typically, the bonding commission members defer to DEEP's grant program that is typically in the fall to make the decisions on if it makes sense for that land trust or that municipality to buy that open space. It can go on the bonding commission agenda, but typically it's funded through that grant, competitive grant program, which is typically in October.
Okay, so I guess what I'm questioning is that why, the way that it's working now, is this, why do we have to put this into law that every year $10 million will be bonded for open space, is my question.
We're not saying every year, we're saying that we used up the funding. I don't know if it does say every year, but we've used up the funding every year that we do put in there, and we're just funding the program so they could do their competitive grant program.
So, and somebody can please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it created an annual new GO bond authorization for open space. Is that correct through you, Mr. Chairman?
Representative Boer.
There typically is an annual allocation, but I don't know that we're saying it's law that there is going to be an annual allocation. I think we're saying we're putting funding in for this year's allocation.
Okay. I don't know, maybe somebody could just correct me, but I thought if this is a bill, it'll be policy now into law that every year $10 million is to be allocated for open space.
Well,
am I reading this wrong through you, Mr. Chairman?
Representative Boer.
We would have to vote on that. Every year we vote on a bond bill. So even if, and I don't have the language in front of me, I apologize, even if it said that, we would still need to vote on that every year. So I think the intent of the bill is to fund the program for this year. But next year's program, we would have to vote on it just like we are voting on it today.
Okay, I guess it is my understanding that it's in the bill that it's to be funded annually $10 million. So if it has to be funded annually for $10 million and it's written into law, I don't believe we would be voting on that. It would just be automatic. So that's what my concern was. I guess I just need clarification on it, but thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Representative Piscopo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a concern, and I raised it during debate when we did the bond package, that there is a trend and coming, and it's been over the years, but I see it happening more and more often where an advocacy or an agency will now put a allocation for the next 10 years, 10 million every year for the next 10 years in this example. And it's worrying me. We have a bonding subcommittee. You're doing an end run right around our bonding subcommittee. We really will have no say in that every year. That it's something like what UConn 2000 did. I understand it's always for a good cause. At UConn 2000, I understood because they planned their campus over the next 10 years. But in this case, you're tying the hands of the bonding subcommittee to see what the demand is for the greenways and again, a very, very good project, the greenways and bikeways and open space. And you're taking the decision out of that oversight over that check and balance, which is the bonding subcommittee. So it is a concern of mine. I thank the chairwoman of the bonding subcommittee for kind of allaying my fears on that, but It is a concern, and it is one of the trends that we have to keep an eye on. I voted against UConn 2000 way back when the chairs then of the bonding subcommittee both expressed the concerns I just did. Then Representative Les Young was the ranking member, and Fred Jelsey was the chairman, the Democrat chairman. And then they were both vehemently opposed to that for those reasons. So it is a concern of mine, and I just wanted to flag it. I did vote for the bond package, but I'm going to flag this one with a no, just to remind me to speak up when it hits the floor of the House. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Mashinsky.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to answer through you, Representative Francesco's question. In the fiscal note, it does say that we are creating an annual new GO bond authorization. Adds 10 million each year until changed or repealed. I can say so the intention here is to try to get to the goal of 21% open space in Connecticut, and we're not at the goal yet. However, I've been here long enough that I know that when the budget is tight, we clamp down on the open space grants and don't offer them. So I think the same thing would happen again if we were to have a fiscally difficult year. The most likely forecast is that we would not offer the as OFA says, until changed or repealed. So what would likely happen is in a tight year, there would be a change by the Finance Committee and not authorize for that year, because it has happened in the past. We have done that, clamped down on a number of normal bond authorizations when we've had a difficult year. But the bill is trying to say is that we should have a steady process to get to our 21% open space land. And you saw in the testimony, it's bipartisan. Towns all across the state have asked for the funding. So while times are healthy right now, this is a good time to try to get to our 21%. So I will support the bill and encourage you to do the same. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Devlin.
Thank you. Whoops. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just following up on the good representative's comments, and because I do support our efforts to preserve open space, but once it's gone, it is gone. But just to understand what the good representative was saying, let's say by some incredible happening in 5 years, we achieved our goal. At that point, does it require a vote to perhaps either amend what the annual allocation is, or does it just stop, or does it continue on beyond the goal? Just so I understand that piece of it. Through you,
Representative Boer.
Thank you, Representative Devlin, for that question. I think, you know what, I see Eric from OFA on, and technically he can explain how if in 5 years we decide, you know, we have all the open space that we need, you know, does that continue to be funded? I think every year we vote on the bond bill and we would just not move the funds, but he could probably best answer technically.
Thank you, Representative. There is no other authorization in current law that is open-ended like this. Every other authorization that we have is for a set amount, and whether that amount is all at once or spread over a number of years, we always know what the full amount is at the time that it is authorized. So there is an open question, which is mentioned in the fiscal note, of whether or not the ongoing component of this would be considered a valid bond authorization by the Treasurer's Office and by the Bond Commission.
Thank you for that explanation.
Seeing no further discussion, clerk will call the roll on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a roll call vote on item number 3, House Bill 5296, an act concerning the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program. It's a JF to the floor. Bonferra.
Bonferra votes yes.
Thank you. Scanlon,
Scanlon votes yes. Scanlon votes yes.
thank you. Martin. Cheeseman,
Cheeseman votes yes.
thank you. Miller. Moore. Cavros DeGraw,
Cavros DeGraw votes yes.
thank you. Meskers.
Moore votes yes. Did you hear that, Bree?
I heard you and I see you now. Thank you very much, Senator Moore. I have your vote.
Bree?
Yes.
Yes.
I hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Meskers,
Meskers votes yes.
thank you. Barry. Borer,
Borer votes yes.
thank you. Butler. Cabrera. Carney. Casano. Chafee,
Chafee votes yes.
thank you. Cohen. Concepcion,
Representative Concepcion votes yes.
thank you. Devlin,
Representative Devlin votes yes.
thank you. Doucette,
Doucette votes yes.
thank you. Elliott,
Elliott votes yes.
thank you. Farrar,
Farrar votes yes.
one more time for me, please, Representative Farrar.
Farrar votes yes.
Thank you. Fazio,
Fazio votes yes.
thank you. Formica,
Formica votes yes.
thank you.
Thanks, Bree.
Anytime. Hall. Hampton,
Hampton votes yes.
thank you. Hennessy. Huang,
Senator Huang votes yes.
thank you. Claritas Detria. Lamar,
Lamar votes yes.
thank you. Maroney. Mastro Francesco,
Representative Mastro Francesco is going to flag this with a no. Thank you.
Thank you. Mashinsky,
Mashinsky votes yes.
thank you. Needleman. Nuccio,
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
thank you. Paolillo,
Representative Paolo votes yes.
thank you. Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
thank you. Perone. Piscopo,
Representative Piscopo votes no.
thank you. Paletta,
Paletta votes yes.
one more time for me, Representative.
Paletta votes yes.
Thank you. Sanchez,
Sanchez votes yes.
thank you. Santiago,
Santiago votes yes.
thank you. Slap,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
one more time,
Senator Slapp votes yes.
thank you.
Thanks.
Anytime. Staffstrom,
Staffstrom votes yes.
thank you. Williams,
Williams, yes.
thank you. Whitcoast,
Senator Whitcoast votes yes.
one more time, please, Senator.
Yeah, Whitcoast votes yes.
Thank you. Wood, Carrie. Wood, Terry. Yacarino,
Rep. Yacarino votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bray.
Anytime. Ziotis. Zulo. Zupkis.
Zupkis votes yes.
One more. Oh, I got you. Thank you. Are there any members who have not yet cast their vote on House Bill 5296 who would like to do so now? Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, with 14 minutes to go, we are going to try to do our final bill, which is HB 5390. The motion is to JF this to the floor. Is there a
So moved,
motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Senator Fanfara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Staffstrom. Discussion from Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I'll keep my comments brief because I know we're up against the clock. I've heard some very compelling arguments as to why we should do this, and I was very proud to support the bill relaxing licensure and opening up professions to people who've been incarcerated. On the other hand, it distresses me greatly that as we rightly try to improve outcomes for people who have been in prison, too often the victims are ignored. We have attempted to put more money in the Victim Compensation Fund. I fought very hard to increase that to include victims of drug driving. That hasn't happened. So as worthy as this goal is, and as committed as I am to helping people remake their lives, I cannot support this today because I do not believe we spend enough time talking about fixing the lives of the people who've been harmed. So I look forward to further discussions on this, but I will be a no today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Representative Staffstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Super quickly, as was alluded to, this is a bill coming out of the Judiciary Committee. It does seek to cut down on recidivism in our state. We are one of the few states that does this, and we actually have charged the highest per diem rate of any state in the country. I would also note that the state is defending a lawsuit over our use of prison liens, and this bill would obviate that lawsuit. So I ask for support.
Representative Metro Francesco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Victim Compensation Fund, would someone be able to tell me where does that money come from? Does it currently come from this that we're talking about today, this bill?
Representative Staffstrom.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it does not. The funding that is collected from the prison liens goes into the general fund or to the Attorney General Settlement Fund, I believe. The Victim Compensation Fund comes specifically from court fees.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit, Representative. Would you mind repeating that for me?
The answer is no. Money does not come from these prison liens into the Victim Compensation Fund. The Victim Compensation Fund is funded through court fees, not through these liens.
Okay, thank you.
They're,
And then
they're totally separate issues.
okay, gotcha. Thank you. So these liens that we have right now, when we collect money for this, where does that money go?
Goes into the general fund.
Oh, okay, it does go into the general fund, but the money does not go into the Victim Compensation Fund.
It does not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a roll call vote on item 4, House Bill 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated. This is a JF to the floor. Fanfara.
Fanfara votes yes.
Thank you. Scanlon.
Scanlon votes yes. Scanlon votes yes.
Thank you. Martin. Cheeseman.
Cheeseman votes no with regret.
Thank you. Miller.
Miller votes yes.
Thank
Miller
you.
votes yes.
Thank you, Senator. Moore.
You're welcome. Moore votes yes.
Thank
Moore
you.
votes yes.
I like it. Thank you. Cameron DeGraw.
Gavros DeGraw also votes yes.
Thank you.
Gavros DeGraw votes yes.
Guys, you're getting so good at this. I want to applaud everybody. Meskers. Barry. Borer.
Representative Borer votes yes.
Thank you. Butler. Cabrera. Carney.
Representative Carney votes yes.
Thank you. Pisano. Chafee.
Chafee votes yes.
Thank you. Cohen. Concepcion.
Representative Concepcion votes yes.
Thank you. Devlin.
All right, I'm trying to get my camera going. Come on. Oh, shoot.
Oh, I had you for a sec.
Okay, Bree, yes on this, and can you take a yes on amended Senate Bill 367?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bree, could I interrupt? I think my mic was off. I vote yes on this bill.
Thank you,
Representative
Representative.
Metzger is yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Doucette.
Doucette votes yes.
Thank you. Elliott.
Elliott votes yes.
Thank you. Farrar.
Farrar votes yes.
One more time, please, Representative.
Farrar votes yes.
Thank you. Fazio. Formica.
Formica votes yes.
Thank you. Paul. Hampton.
Hampton votes yes.
Thank you. Hennessy. Wong.
Senator Huang votes yes.
Thank you.
And for House Bill 5255, if I'm allowed to, Madam Clerk, no.
You've got it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Claritas Detria. Lamar. Thank you. Maroney. Mastro Francesco.
Representative Mastro Francesco votes no.
Thank you. Mashinsky.
Rep. Mashinsky votes yes.
One more
Did you
time.
get it? Rep. Mashinsky votes yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've got you. Needleman. Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
Thank you. Paolillo.
Representative Paolillo votes yes.
Thank you. Perillo.
Perillo votes yes.
Thank you. Perone. Piscopo.
Representative Piscopo votes no.
Thank you. Paletta.
Paletta votes no.
Thank you. Sanchez.
Representative Sanchez votes yes.
Thank you. Santiago.
Santiago votes yes.
Thank you. Black.
Senator Slack votes yes.
Thank you. Staffstrom.
Representative Staffstrom votes yes. Representative Staffstrom, you'll see me, I vote yes. And can you
I
get me
do
as a
see
yes
you.
on the first? Can you
I
get me
see-
as a yes on the first two bills, too, please?
You got, there's three bills, first three bills.
I voted on the second. I voted on the third. So just the first and the second I missed. Thanks.
You got it. Williams.
Williams, yes.
Thank you. Witkos.
Senator Wickos votes no. No.
Thank you. Wood, Carey. Wood, Terry. Yacarino.
Rep. Yakarino votes yes.
Thank you. Ziogas. Zulo,
Rep
Zup-
Zulo votes, Rep Zulo votes no.
thank you.
Do you want to catch me up or wait to the end? Your choice.
Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab Zupkis.
Thank you,
Zupkis,
Madam Clerk.
you're welcome. Zupkis.
Rep. Zupkis votes no.
One more time, Representative.
Rep. Zupkis votes no.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Apologies.
No, it's all right.
All right, Rep. Bree, before you go back to Representative Zulo, let me just officially say we will recess the committee until the call of the Senate comes to order. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, no one cares.
The members who have
Senator
missed
Martin.
votes, I would request that you stay on, please, and thank you. I'm going to do a roll call on each one of these, and I will call out the members who have missed votes. We're starting with 367. This is an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. The motion is a JFS to the floor because we amended the bill in committee. Barry. Butler. Cabrera. Carney.
Carney votes no.
Thank you. Casano. Cohen.
Cohen votes yes.
Thank you. Hall. Hampton.
Hampton votes yes.
Thank you. Hennessy. Claridis Detria.
Claridis Detria votes no.
Thank you. Maroney. Needleman. Perone. Sanchez.
Sanchez votes yes.
Thank you. Carrie Wood. Terry Wood. Ziogas. Zulo.
Rep Zulo votes no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next up, item 2 on the agenda, House Bill 5255, an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation. This is a JF to the floor. Barry. Butler. Cabrera. Casano. Cohen.
Cohen votes yes.
Thank you. Hall. Hampton.
Hampton votes yes.
Thank
Hampton
you.
votes yes.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Hennessy. Claridis Detria.
Claridis Detria votes no.
Thank you. Maroney. Needleman. Perillo.
Perillo votes yes.
Thank you. Perone. Sanchez.
Sanchez votes yes.
Thank you. Wood, Carrie. Wood, Terry. Ziogas. Zulo.
Rep Zulo votes no.
Thank you. Next up, item 3, House Bill 5296, an act concerning the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program. Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Barry. I should note this is a JF to the floor. Butler. Cabrera. Carney.
Rep Carney votes yes.
Thank you. Casano. Cohen.
Cohen votes yes.
Thank you. Hall. Hennessy. Claridis Detria.
Claridis Detria votes no.
Thank you. Maroney. Needleman. Perone. Carrie Wood. Terry Wood. Ziogas. Zulo.
Rep Zulo votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Last but not least, item 4, House Bill 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated. This is a JF to the floor. Martin,
Martin votes no.
thank you. Barry, Butler, Cabrera, Casano, Cohen,
Cohen votes yes.
thank you. Fazio,
Fazio votes no.
one more time, please, Senator.
Fazio votes no.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bree.
You're welcome. Paul, Hennessy, Claridis Detria,
Claridis Detria votes no.
thank you. Maroney, Needleman, Perone, Wood, Carey, Wood, Terry, Ziogas. All right,
Bree, this is Rep. Yakarino. Could I switch no to the last bill, please?
so on the last bill, 5390, you would like to be a no vote?
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. Anytime. Is there anyone else who would like to cast a vote or switch a vote?
Bree, this is Hilda. Am I all set?
Hi, let's look. I have you as a yes on 367. I have you as a yes on 5255. I have you as a yes on 5296 and a yes on 5390.
Great, thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you. All right, let's see where the Senate is. They have not yet convened, so we'll be in recess.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bree?
Hello, Representative Lamar. How are you?
How are you? I'm good. I believe I voted on every agenda item. I was hoping you could potentially give me an update on the vote count on 5255.
Sure thing. First, I'm going to check that you voted on every item. And you have, you voted on the affirmative on each. I'll give you a tally on 5255, knowing that the vote is not yet closed.
Yes.
Right now, 23 yays and 16 nays.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bree.
You're most welcome. Have a good weekend.
You.
Thank you.
Hey, Bree. I'm here now. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to apologize.
I was driving and like in and out of service and crazy.
I get that. So I need your vote on all 4 items. So I'll go one by one. The first is 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products as amended by Amendment A.
Okay, and what was the amendment in a nutshell?
It creates a definition in section 1 of an adult-only retail store to limit entrance into the establishment so that only people aged 21 and older are going in. Prohibits any person from selling flavored or unflavored electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products unless they are an adult-only retail store. That modification is in section 2. Strikes reference to the 35 milligrams per milliliter nicotine cap throughout the bill and sunsets these provisions on June 30th, 2026.
Okay, I'll vote yes.
All right, next up is 5255, an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation.
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, 5296, an act concerning the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program.
Barry is a yes.
Thank you. Last but not least, 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated.
Barry is a yes.
Okay, thank you. You are all set, madam.
Awesome. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Bree.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Representative Williams. Do you want me to, let me double check to make sure you voted on everything?
No, I know I voted on all the bills.
You had.
Unless something snuck up on me, I'm pretty sure I voted. Yeah. No,
You did.
Yep, that's what I thought.
You did.
Nope, just want to say good morning and thank you.
Oh, good morning, and you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I
Have a
hope
good
you have
day.
a good, thank you, you too.
Hello, Bree.
Hello, Representative Wood. How are you doing?
Well, it's just been a busy morning. I had all these things on the calendar that I couldn't change for the meeting today. Okay. But I'm well. How are you? It's a gorgeous Earth Day.
It is a gorgeous Earth Day.
So can I start voting on number 3 first?
Yes. So
No,
3 is
I'm kidding.
We could, if you want to.
Sure. Well, that's the Earth Day one. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
land preservation. Yes, I'm a yes on that.
Okay. So
Although we
Yep.
do need to be addressing the Community Investment Act and fully funding that. So that's the only reason I would have been a no on this. But anyway, I'm a definite yes on 5296.
Okay. I have you as a yes for 5296. Thank you. How would
Thank
you like
you.
to vote on 367? That's an act concerning
No.
election. Okay. No.
No.
Right.
And then 5255 is also a no.
Okay.
And number 4 on the agenda, 5390, is also a no.
Alrighty.
All righty. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care, Bree. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Hey, Bree. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
It
How are
just
you,
occurred,
Senator?
I had to hop off very abruptly and I wanted to make sure I voted on everything.
Let's double check. I have you as a yes on 367, that's electronic nicotine delivery systems. I have you as a yes on 5255, the DOT recommendations. I have you as a yes on 5296, which is the open space and watershed land acquisition grant program. And I have you as a yes on the DOC liens bill.
Great. Thank you. I just wanted to be sure.
No, I
Appreciate it.
appreciate being thorough.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good luck today in session.
Hello, Bree.
Hello, Representative Butler. How are you?
I am fine. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, thanks. All right, so we have 4 items for your consideration today. The first is Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. This is a JFS. We amended the bill in committee today. Would you like a summary of the amendment?
Yes, please.
It creates a definition in section 1 of an adult-only retail store to limit entrance into the establishments to only people aged 21 and over. In section 2, it prohibits any person from selling flavored or unflavored electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products unless they are an adult-only retail store. It strikes reference to the 35 milligrams per milliliter nicotine cap throughout the bill and sunsets these provisions on June 30th, 2026.
No on that.
So you are a no. Next is House Bill 5255, an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation. This was a JF to the floor.
Yes, on that.
Thank you. Next up is 5296. This is an act concerning the open space and watershed land acquisition grant program.
Yes, on that.
Okay. Next is 5390. This is an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated. This is also a JF to the floor.
Wait a minute. Can you read that one again?
Yeah. This is the Department of Corrections liens bill. So essentially, inmates can work while they're incarcerated. They get that money in a debit card upon their release. DOC has the opportunity to recoup certain costs from that aggregate amount, one of which is some of the costs for incarceration. This bill would eliminate that, the ability for DOC to recoup the costs for that reason.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. I'm a yes now.
Got it. And you're all set.
Thank you very much, Bree. You have a good weekend.
You're welcome. You too. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Good morning, Senator Cabrera.
Hi, Bree, how are you?
I'm doing okay, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Sorry, it's been one of those days.
That's okay, I get it. All right, we're gonna do a rapid fire. There's 4
Go ahead.
items for your consideration. The first is Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. This is a JFS because we amended the bill in committee. The amendment creates a definition in section 1 of an adult-only retail store to limit entrance into the establishment for only people 21 and older. In section 2, it prohibits any person from selling flavored or unflavored electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products unless they're an adult-only retail store. It strikes reference to the 35 micrograms per milliliter nicotine cap throughout the bill and sunsets these provisions on June 30th, 2026. How would you like to vote?
Senator Cabrera votes yes.
Thank you. Okay, next up is House Bill 5255. This is an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation. JF to the floor.
Senator Cabrera votes yes.
Thank you. Next, 5296, an act concerning open space and watershed land acquisition grant program. This is a JF to the floor.
Senator Cabrera votes yes.
Thank you. Last but not least, 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated. This is a JF to the floor.
Senator Cabrera votes yes.
Thank you. You're all squared away.
All right, thank you for the help. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime. Have a good day. Good luck in session.
Thank you.
I see Representatives Perone and Wood. Whomever would like to speak first may.
Ladies first.
Representative Wood?
Yep. Okay, so I'm looking at the, sorry.
Did you hear
Okay,
the
so
spiel?
I'm a yes on SB 367.
As amended?
Yes.
Okay,
And yes on 5255.
got it,
Yes on 5296.
got it,
And no on 5390.
got it. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Representative
You too.
Perone. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
So I don't have them in front of me. 5390, what is that?
So we'll start from the back. 5390. That's okay. Is an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when an individual is incarcerated. So do you know what this bill does? Do you need a summary?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah. When a person is incarcerated, they are allowed to work. The dollars that they earn or the wages that they earn while working are put into a debit card and given to them upon their release. DOC has the opportunity to deduct certain expenses from that aggregate amount that's given to them on the debit card. One such expense currently is to take out money for some of the costs that DOC incurred to incarcerate this individual. This bill would eliminate their ability to do that.
Why? And I'm just curious, like give me a scenario where
I truthfully did not dig deep enough to know what the costs are. So I don't know if, DOC's incurring costs or, taking costs for food or toiletries, whatever it may be. I don't know, but DOC at this point can take costs.
Is there a limit to how much they can take?
I did not see anything outlined in the bill.
You know what? I'll support it. I mean, not support it. I'll vote for it out of committee. I just don't, I'm concerned that it's a blank check. So I really don't know what the parameters are. So I'll move it along for now, but I guess I'm technically flagging it because I'm just not a fan of the concept. And the rest I'm fine.
Okay, so you are a yes on 367. You're a yes on 5255. Let me just mark it down.
Right.
You're a yes on 5296. And I already have you a yes on 5390.
Yeah.
All right, you're all set. You're
Great.
good. You're
Go.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Good morning, Senator Casano. How are you? We're in recess, so it's okay if you can tell me. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Oh, you have your monsters. Mhm. What? Robot. Thank you. Senator Casano, I don't know if you're able to unmute and turn your camera on to vote. If you are, please do so. And I also see that Senator Needleman is here. Hi, Senator. How are you? You are on mute, Senator Needleman. You are
There we
still.
go. I'm in my
There we
car.
go.
I'm not driving, for the record. I'm in a parking lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I have 4 items for your consideration today. The first is Senate Bill 367. This is an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. This is a JFS because we amended the bill in committee today. Do you need a summary of that amendment?
Yes, that was Senator Fanfara's amendment.
Was Senator Fanfara's amendment, correct?
How did the vote go, first of all?
It
Not
passed.
on the amendment, on the whole bill.
On the underlying bill, it looks like it will pass. Not doing a
Okay.
formal, it looks like it'll pass.
I'm a yes.
Okay. Needleman, yes, got it. And then next up is House Bill 5255. This is the recommendations for DOT. DOT recommendations.
How was that vote so far?
That it is passing so far.
That pretty much unanimous?
No.
I'm a yes on this. Yeah, go ahead.
It's this is what I would affectionately refer to as an aircraft carrier for the Department of Transportation. Some members had issues with the banning of open containers for passengers in the car.
Oh, is that what's in it?
So that's
in the bill?
Yeah, that's one of the items in the bill. This is many, many sections long. It prohibits, you can't park next to a crosswalk within 25 feet. The Department of Transportation could change the speed limit on certain roadways if there's inclement weather or an emergency. There's many, many provisions to this bill. But I have you marked as a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next up is 5296. This is an act concerning the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program operated by Deed.
Mhm.
I would expect you to be, I'm not going to expect anything. How would you like to
Yeah,
vote?
no, don't expect anything, but was this broadly bipartisan bill?
Yes, most members voted on this bill.
I'm a yes.
Okay, thank you, Senator. And last but not least is 5390. This is an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated.
What costs are being, so we're forgiving costs?
Yep, so the Reader's Digest version of this bill is an inmate can work while they're incarcerated and earn wages. Those wages are put into a debit card, and that debit card is given to the inmate upon their release. However, DOC can deduct money from the aggregate amount in that debit card for a variety of things. One of which is they can take out money to recoup costs incurred to incarcerate that individual. This bill eliminates their ability to do that.
Not bipartisan, I'm sure.
Mostly yes, but many no.
I'm in favor of that. I think that people that get out, if they serve their time, deserve to at least get out with a few bucks and not have it pulled out of their account before they even get out.
Understood. All right, then you're all set. You're all caught up.
Thanks, Bree. Have a nice day.
Welcome.
Beautiful
You too.
day out today.
I know. What a you couldn't ask for a better Earth Day. Really.
I know. Yeah, it is Earth.
Yeah.
It's blooming. All right. Be well.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. Senator Maroney.
How about Dad?
Daddy's in his office, honey.
Oh no, a crayon.
You dropped the crayon.
Okay.
Senator Maroney, how are you? Good morning.
Good, thank you. Good morning, Bree. I'm sorry, I've been having charger phone issues while I've been driving up. So
That is okay. I get that. I have 4 items for your consideration today.
hold
on. Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure thing.
I couldn't hear you. The Bluetooth took over, so I had to turn the car off. So
Oh, I hate that. Happens to me too.
okay, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
All right. We have 4 items for your consideration today.
Okay.
The first is Senate Bill 367. This is an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. It's a JFS because we amended the bill in committee. Would you
Okay.
like a summary of the amendment?
I actually heard the amendment before.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So how would you like
Yes.
to vote on the bill? as
Senator
amended?
Maroney votes yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next is 5255. This is an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation. How would you like to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Next, 5296. This is an act concerning the Open Space Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program.
Maroney votes yes.
Thank you. Last but not least, please don't eat that, excuse me. Last but not least is House Bill 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, Bree, did the amendment originally Senator Fonfara had requested a voice vote? Was that a voice vote or did that end up being by
No.
roll?
Representative Farrar requested it be taken by roll, so we took it by roll.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was 17 yay, 14 nay, 20 absent and not voting.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. Have a good session.
You have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye. Senator Casano, can you hear me? If you are able, please unmute and turn your camera on to vote. Senator Casano, Senator Casano,
Mommy, mommy.
Senator Casano, I see that your hand is raised. Are you able to unmute and turn your camera on so that we can get the vote and going? I know you've been trying and I appreciate your patience. Good morning, Representative Hall. How are you? You are on mute, sir.
Good, and yourself?
I'm all right, thanks. It's Friday. The sun is shining. Good day.
Indeed, indeed.
So I have 4 items for your consideration. The first of which is Senate Bill 367, an act concerning electronic nicotine delivery systems and vapor products. This is a JFS to the floor because we amended the bill in committee. It was Senator Fonfara's amendment. Would you like a summary of that amendment?
Yes.
Okay. It creates a definition in section 1 of an adult-only retail store to limit entrance into the establishment for people aged under 21. It prohibits any person from selling flavored or unflavored electronic nicotine delivery systems or vapor products unless they are an adult-only retail store. It strikes reference to the 35 milligrams per milliliter nicotine cap throughout the bill and sunsets these provisions on June 30th, 2026. So those are the amendments to the bill, and the bill as amended is what you're voting on.
You said it's, just repeat it, sunsets on those provisions sunset?
Those provisions are going to sunset on June 30th, 2026. Senator Fonfara, the logic behind that was that he wanted a few years of data collection that could be reviewed to determine whether or not the policy shift is working and should continue.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is House Bill 5255. This is an act concerning recommendations by the Department of Transportation. It is their aircraft carrier.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is House Bill 5296. It's an act concerning the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program, which is run by DEEP.
Yes.
Thank you. The next, last but not least, is 5390, an act repealing statutory provisions that impose liability on an individual for repayment of costs incurred when the individual was incarcerated.
Yes.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. The Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee for April 22nd, 2022 is formally adjourned.